Hello friends, this is a bow tutorial and I want to teach you about a bow that's one of my favorites to add to personal packages or any kind of Mary Kay containers that you create. And I love it because I can use any kind of ribbon, and also I can use all the little pieces of ribbon that I have left over from a bolt. I just keep them in a bucket or a bag, and so I've always got pieces of ribbon that will work. So the bow is actually built like a wedding cake. If you think of a wedding cake in 3 different tiers, there's a bottom piece and that gets tied down. Then there's a middle piece and it's a little bit smaller and it gets tied down. And then there's a top piece and it's even smaller and it gets tied down. So this is just a package that I'm sending to someone. So I have used some netting or tulle to just tie off the package and give myself a little knot right here to build the bow. Now I'm going to be using some fantastic wired ribbon, which is always beautiful. And the more expensive ribbon that you use, the better your bows are going to look. So I take this beautiful ribbon and I'm going to make this bow all out of the same ribbon. This comes from like Costco or Sam's Club, anywhere you can get a good deal on this beautiful wide ribbon. So the bottom piece of the wedding cake bow is built with 5 loops that are about 5 inches each. So I'm going to gather the ribbon together in whichever is your dominant hand, and I'm going to make a loop that's about 5 inches from the inner corner to the outer corner. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to make 2 loops, and then I'm going to make 3 loops, then 4 loops, and then the 5th loop. And then I'm going to cut it off the bolt, obviously, because I'm not working with an extra piece of ribbon. I'm going to cut it at a nice angle. I'm going to grab it right in the center there, and it holds real nicely. And then I'm just going to tie that down. You can knot it if you want to, if it doesn't hold real tight. And then you just want to open up the loops so that it sits real pretty. Now we're going to do the same thing again, using the same ribbon, but you could use any variety of ribbon. And I'm going to do 4 loops that are 4 inches long. So again, I'm going to gather it together. I'm going to make loops that are just a little bit shorter. So you can see they're just a little shorter. They're about 4 inches long. So I'm going to make 4 loops that are 4 inches long and cut it off. But again, I could be using an extra piece of ribbon that I had that was about that long. And then I'm going to put that right down on the center of the package and tie that down. And then my last piece of the bow is 3 loops at about 3 inches. So they're much smaller and they're really designed to fill in the center of the bow. If this was a seasonal package, or this is a baby gift, but if you wanted to tie in an ornament or any kind of a pick or other kind of decoration, you could do that right now. So 3 loops at 3 inches, and then you tie that down. And if you had enough ribbon left here, you can even make a little tennis shoe bow if you needed to tie it off and fill it in. That could be done right there if you wanted to. That makes a nice little centerpiece if you don't have an ornament in there. So then if it just doesn't look even, remember, good ribbon is really forgiving, and you just fluff it up. And it's great, you can make these bows in advance if you're making a lot of bows for, let's say, 20 sets of satin hands that you sold. Get yourself a Voluform box and build your bows on top of the Voluform box, and then just go behind and use your scissors and cut it right here, and then save all those ribbons until you're really ready to use them and tie them onto your packages. Now, just to show you how it will work with any kind of ribbon, this is another gift I'm sending out, and I'm just going to use 2 colors of beautiful soft satin ribbon. The bow will have a different feel to it, but it's still wonderful and it will look lovely. So, same thing. I'm going to make 5 loops at about 5 inches long, and when you use different kinds of ribbon, you can adjust the formula. If you're making a big bow for your next free Mary Kay car, you could do 10 loops at 10 inches and 8 loops at 8 inches and 7 loops at 7 inches, and you could really make the bow beautiful. So same thing, I'm just going to cut my loops and I'm going to tie them down. It is really beautiful to mix different kinds of ribbon and textures of ribbon and colors of ribbon to tie into your package or whatever's in your container. And now I'm going to do 4 loops at 4 inches, and I'm going to tie that down. This ribbon is a little bit more tricky to work with because it doesn't have the body that the wired ribbon does, but it's all good and it looks really beautiful. I'm going to tie this down, and then my last piece of my bow is 3 loops at 3 inches, and tie that down. Okay, and so I'm just going to go back to my darker color and put that right on top. And again, if your tails are long enough, you can make a little tennis shoe bow or not. So here's about 3 loops at 3 inches and tie that down. If you don't have enough ribbon left to make little center bow, like a little tennis shoe bow, no problem. You can take those extra pieces and just knot them off, or you can tuck them under, or you can just finish them off that way. So my friends, happy holiday selling and happy bow making.